I completely adore my husband, but I don't think he'd be a good father. My husband recently got a puppy to keep me company when he deploys, and because he's been wanting a dog for a long time, and he's using the dog to prove he can be a good pet parent to him, so I would open up more to the idea of having kids with him. I know dogs and kids are completely different, but even with this puppy, he's showing selfish tendencies that I don't like or think it is fair to the puppy. I basically do everything for this puppy. My husband always groans and complains if I ask him to do something simple with a dog, like take him for a walk with me. My husband just likes the idea of having a dog, but not the work. The other day I finally managed to get him to walk the dog with me, and we were walking for about 10 minutes, and he said let's go back home. I said 10 minutes is not enough for him for a walk, and he needs a little more than that, and he said that I can take him by myself then because it's my dog. If he can't even take care of a dog, then I don't think he's fit to take care of a child. He's too selfish. My in-laws say I need to calm down and give him a child, since it's my womanly duties to make him happy, and they want grandchildren or cousins for their kids. My husband rarely helps around the house or with the dog, which includes not making sure the dog has food or water, not remembering to take him out or give him his medicine, and not teaching him any tricks or commands, just to name a few. I feel he just likes the idea of having kids but not the work, so I'd be stuck doing everything. Am I the idiot for not wanting kids with him? Not the idiot. Both parties should want a child before choosing to have one. If you can't imagine parenting with your husband, you don't need to. Things may evolve over time too. You're super young. I had my first kid at 30, and that was totally fine. The male brain matures until the late 20s. So he's got a bit of gray matter to settle yet. ETA. You may want to lay down some boundaries with your in-laws if they're throwing around things like womanly duties. Disgusting. No such thing. Not the idiot. I have been in your shoes. Do not reproduce with that man because they will be your responsibility, and if you split, he definitely isn't going to help with them. You aren't being unreasonable, he's showing you that he wants a kid to say he has one, but not to actually parent one. My ex was like this. Everyone took his side and said I was being unreasonable. It was a lot of pressure, but I held my ground, and sure enough, we split up and his life is an absolute wreck. Listen to yourself. If you don't mind full responsibility for any kid you have, then sure, have his kid. Not the idiot. He is already showing you his true colors with a dog. He likes the idea of a dog, but not the work involved in having one. The same would be true for a baby. You will be taking care of everything in the home plus the baby. I would divorce him before having a baby with him. Unless he is willing to give up on the idea of having a baby, your marriage is not going to work out. This is a conversation, though that really should have been had before you got married. I would make sure that you don't get pregnant until this issue is sorted out. I am a 24-year-old straight male, my sister is 26. Let's start with some background. For the past 5 years or so, I have started growing my hair out. In my biased opinion, I have amazing thick curly hair. In public, I often receive random compliments on my hair. People who know me know how much I love my long hair. If given a chance, I will usually talk about it. Everyone has their favorite thing about their appearance, and my curls are my favorite. Now, a few years back, I made the decision to donate my curls. So I chopped 9 inches off and began to grow out my hair again. After about 2 years, I made a second donation. I rather enjoy doing this. I get to help people and indulge my ego at the same time. My family is somewhat conservative, politically, but mostly just about life, and as such, my parents have never liked my hair long, as it looks unprofessional. But I am an adult, so they just make side comments about how I need a haircut. Nothing to hurt our relationship over. My sister is the only family member who outright supports my hair choices. Since I didn't grow up with long hair, she is usually where I go for advice on issues with the curly struggle. Now, for the dilemma. My sister is getting married in a few months. She has asked me to cut my hair before the wedding so that it looks more appropriate. I get along great with her fiancé, but he has a more conservative view on life, like my parents, so she has developed it a bit more herself. I assume that it is a part of the thinking behind her request. As of now, it has been about 9 months since my last haircut, and it usually takes about 2-ish years to get the length needed for donation. If the wedding fell around that 2-year mark, I would have no problem making the cut and donation and satisfying her for the wedding photos. But That's not the case. I have tried telling my sister no lightheartedly, but she seems firm that since it's her wedding, it's her call on whether or not I cut my hair. It even came up once with my mom on a phone call, and my mother is 100% for the haircut. I don't really want to because I have finally hit a length I can actually do stuff with, and I don't want to lose the 9 months of growth I've gotten since my last cut. Yes, I am at the wedding party as a groomsman, and I think this is the biggest issue for my sister. All of her wedding photos with me will have my long hair, and she would prefer it to be short for her eternal memories. Am I the idiot for not cutting my hair for my sister's wedding when my entire family supports the cut? Not the idiot. I can see how maybe she thought it was a reasonable thing to ask, because you go through a cycle of cutting it and growing it out. If you never cut it and that was always long, it would be inappropriate to even ask. However, you have your reasons for timing your haircuts the way you do, and you're totally justified in denying her request. If it ended there, I'd say you are right. She's the idiot because she pulled the "it's my wedding, it's my call" card. You don't get to dictate a person's haircut or their tattoos or their hair color. Not the idiot. This is well beyond what a bride gets to control. This isn't about the outfits of the wedding party. It sounds like you're not even in the wedding party on top of it. She doesn't get to dictate how guests look. I haven't even heard of brides asking bridesmaids to cut it a certain way. Maybe style it all the same, not surprised if some terrible bride did do this though. Your sister is a Britazilla, and your family is just generally idiots on top of it for not minding their own business. Personally, I wouldn't cave on this. Screw them. No idiots here. I understand why your sister wants you to cut your hair. I don't agree with it, but I understand where she is coming from. This is my biggest issue with the whole thing. I love and understand her, but I disagree with her. I also have my hair grown out and am not in any hurry to get a haircut. A few years back I had a family occasion in which I was asked to get a haircut and shave, and I said no, and that was that. Your sister isn't necessarily being unreasonable by asking you to cut your hair, but ultimately it's your choice. On a road trip last week, my girlfriend and I stopped at a rural diner for brunch. We sat down and a waitress opened our menus before she put them on the table. That detail is important later. It was a very nice meal, honestly. Our total was around $25. I was ready to pay with my debit card. The waitress then told us that this was a cash-only establishment. Unfortunately, I had zero cash on me. How were we supposed to know? I asked. She shows us some tiny text on the front of the menu. Because of the way she'd put our menus down and taken them away, we had not seen the front. There was literally no indication of their cash-only business other than that. She sighs and points to an ATM on the other side of the dining room. At this point, I'm still apologetic, so I went there with my card. I noticed it had a fee of $9. I asked to speak to the manager. She brought the owner. I told the owner this is ridiculous. I suggested he let me go get cash from somewhere legit or take $9 off the bill if he really wanted me to use that ATM. Nope. He threatened to call the police. I said go ahead. My girlfriend felt the same way. Long story short, the cops agreed with me and we left without paying anything. I told my sister about this today. She thinks the cops were wrong and I was being an idiot. Because you wasted everyone's time over $9 freaking dollars. I think the owner is the idiot. The only part I regret was not being able to tip the waitress. Not the idiot. That is insane, and if the cops agreed with you, you're fine. Honestly, it really pisses me off when places are cash only, but if you're going to do that you need to have a free automated teller machine. And you can't be idiots about it. If you're living in the Stone Age, guess what? Survival of the fittest. No one in their right mind is going to pay a $9 automated teller machine fee when it was absolutely not made clear that they were expected to have cash. Not the idiot. The police should have instructed you to go to a local bank or automated teller machine that doesn't have unreasonable fees, then return and pay the bill. Or the owner should have given you a bill with his bank information so that you could pay the bill when you got home. Since the police let you go without paying, there have probably been previous complaints about the business practices. The guy probably knows that he'll lose if he tries to go to court, so he just profits from the majority of the customers who accept the $9 charge if they don't have cash in their pocket. This is 100% extortion. I can guarantee they train people to put the menu down like that to get people backed into a corner. There's a bar in my town where the automated teller machine fee is $5, and they don't tell you it's cash only until after the drinks are poured. They own the machine and set the fee. $9 is not a lot, but you gotta think this happens at least a couple of times a week. That adds up quickly over time, and they know they've got you tied to the one horse in the town when you need the cash. So, my mom has always been somewhat of an authoritarian style parent. There were a lot of times growing up when I didn't agree with her about something, but was not allowed to voice that. And honestly, even now, there are some of those times. I love my mom, she's the strongest person I ever met. But because of this, I have never shared much of my personal life with her. I try to open up more now because I want an open relationship with her. And, to her credit, she has tried a lot harder to be less strict, but she's still her own way. Well, because of this I have made it a point to involve my son in our lives as much as makes sense given his age. He has always been given a voice. Okay, so let's get the background over. I'm a single mother to a 5-year-old boy with several allergies. Some severe and some mild. Including an array of food allergies. My mother babysits him while I am at work. This generally means she is feeding him about one meal a week by my request, and sometimes he gets junk or treats there too. Well, recently my mom was feeding him, and the other kids, cousins, some dinner which happened to be cooked with an ingredient my son is allergic to. It's complicated to explain the nature of that particular allergy, but while he will likely not die from it, he has still usually caused a bit of discomfort when he eats it. Hives, itchy mouth, and others. Typically if it is cooked, and he gets some, it's okay. But he has reacted to cooked too. Basically, he can eat it and not die but really shouldn't, and he and I have decided together he won't. Well, mom told him he had to eat his dinner or he was going to be in big trouble. When he said no again, she told him he was grounded from screens all night until he cleaned his plate. My son's reply was fine. I don't care how much trouble I'm in, I am not eating that. You can't make me. Well, of course my mom was livid when I got there to get him. And she had told me he has to apologize before he can come back. I told her that I can't make him do that. I have taught him from day one that he can refuse to eat any food he's allergic to. No adult can make him poison himself. And I will 100% back that up. Now, mom is saying we are both idiots and need to apologize to her. That she knows which foods he is deathly allergic to and which ones are fine as long as he has antihistamines if he gets hives. So, am I the idiot? And was my son bad son? Not the idiot, I'd rather have a kid with severe allergies be picky than unaware of ingredients which could potentially hurt them. I don't think your kid was being picky, I'd just rather see him picky than take a ride in an ambulance. You should explain to your mom that sometimes if a child is exposed to an allergen often enough, it can develop into a severe allergy. You definitely want to avoid your child developing any other life-threatening allergies. I don't think it's unreasonable that your kid said no, especially if it's something you and him agreed on. Not the idiot. I have I can eat it, but it will make me ill food allergy, and I wish I'd had someone to advocate for me when I was young and being made to eat mushrooms that just made me puke 2 hours later. Your kid knows what's best for his body, and as an adult, your mom should know that repeated exposure to a food allergen can make the allergy more severe. Is it possible to arrange for her to come along with you to a doctor's appointment for her to hear it from an expert? She should respect your son's bodily autonomy, but if she won't take it from him and you. Not the idiot. Good for you for teaching your son that he has agency, because a lot of children are taught that they can't say no to an adult in any circumstance. Because you've got his back on this one, he'll know that in the future that you'll stand up for him when some idiot says, oh, it's fine, you can eat what the other kids are eating, and that can help to prevent a more serious reaction down the road. Your mom is totally the idiot right now. She's not putting as much weight on that as she should. My child is 21 and a junior at an expensive private university. My husband and I pay for everything. Her food, housing, her tuition. Our only condition was that she had to maintain her grades to at least a 3.0, and she had to do a summer job or internship every summer. We even gave her a $100 for a week allowance. This would be a good time to note that we live in Georgia. We have the Zell Miller Scholarship, which means she would have had her entire tuition paid for. She begged us to let her go to her dream school, and because financials weren't that big a problem to us, we relented, with the conditions listed above. She's been telling us, her father and I, that she has a 3.7 and is doing amazing for the last 3 years. We were so proud, it never crossed our mind that she could be lying. She would also frequently post herself on her Instagram at parties in the middle of the week and drinking with friends, but because she was doing fine academically, we just let her have her freedom. Anyways, her brother is a freshman at Georgia Tech. He ended his first semester with a 2.8, putting him at risk of losing his scholarship. He told us he was only on track for a 3.2 this semester, too low to maintain the scholarship. We asked him why he wasn't doing great and that he needs to be more focused on his academics when he got defensive and told us that at least he wasn't failing like his sister. The long story short, our daughter has been lying the entire time about her grades. She has a 2.3 grade point average and she is on track for failing a class this semester. My husband and I were furious and told her that because she wants to lie and deceive us like that, we were no longer going to fund her school at all. If she still wants to go there, she's going to need to take out loans, and we're cutting her off completely. The total cost is about $30,000 a semester. She was heartbroken and begged us for another chance, and she was too afraid to come clean. Being afraid is one thing, but she should have told us and maybe could have provided resources to help her. She lied to us to our faces and made us out to be fools. This was a week and a half ago, and she blocked us on everything. My husband thinks she's acting like a spoiled brat, but I'm starting to feel really bad. We had a great relationship before this and talked at least twice a week. Our husband thinks she'll come around, but I still have a horrible feeling in my stomach. Are we the bad people for cutting our daughter off? Everyone's the idiot here. Your daughter did wrong, but cutting her off financially and putting her into extreme debt or forcing her to drop out is not the solution. In my line of work, I've seen so many people never bounce back financially from their student loan debt, and it's haunted them all the way into their retirement years. Considering your daughter is already struggling to pass, this is a bad idea. She will either never be able to pay off those loans, or she will plummet even more or drop out entirely and struggle financially for years to come. Not the idiot. You gave her clear expectations of what she needed to do for you to continue supporting her education. She didn't do that, and then she lied about it. Completely her fault. It's called tough love for a reason. This will teach her an important life lesson about responsibility and integrity. If you keep enabling her to drive her grade point average into the ground, she is going to have a much harder time in the future if she ever wants to get a competitive job or get an advanced degree. Stick to your guns. Not the idiot. There are a ton of resources for students who are failing or need help. There are no excuses for her to be failing. Getting B's and C's is one thing, but to be failing consecutive classes is due to laziness. We're all different, but there are so many resources to get your act together. I don't think you're being harsh. You've been more than generous paying for her education. Especially at a private university. She does not understand the value of obtaining an education without student loan debt.